What is up, guys? My name is Mark Santamaria and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the RC vlog. Today is day 2 of Icebreaker prep. The Icebreaker is a big race here in the DFW Metroplex. It's a big nitro race, nitro A-scale race. And I'm working on my nitro buggy. The nitro buggy I run is the Gamma A215 SV. And what I'm gonna do, or what I have to do to my car before the race, is I need to change out the front universals. The car comes with front universals. I'm changing those out to CVDs. And then I'm also changing out my shock pistons. I'm gonna put in the VRP shock pistons. I've been doing some testing with the VRP shock pistons and I'm really happy with how my e-buggy handles the bump. So I'm gonna put the same pistons in my nitro buggy. I'm also changing my caps, my shock caps, to bleeder caps. The car does not come with bleeder caps. It comes with just a regular bladder cap. So I gotta change that out. And I also have to put in another engine. The engine I have in here right now, I was planning on breaking this engine in and I never got to it. It was actually going to be done on a video and the only time I can do it is over the weekend, and I've been waiting for the weather to be really good. I like to break in my engines when it's a little bit hotter outside. I definitely don't want to break in when it's cold. It's a little bit harder to get the engine temps up. So I need to take this engine out, I need to put this engine in, I need to do my shock caps, the shock bladders, I need to do my pistons, and I need to do the front CVDs or universals to CVDs. So let's get to work. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how to put the clutch, the entire clutch, the flywheel, the clutch shoes, everything on an engine. So again, I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, this is how you should do it, but I'm going based on my experience and this is how I've always put clutches together. My cars, I rarely have engine problems or clutch problems. I've even won the last endurance race, the Survivor Cup, which is a 3-hour race. So you can go based on that. I'm confident that I know what I'm doing. So let's put this clutch on. All right, so the reason why I'm putting an entirely new clutch instead of taking the clutch off of my new engine is that clutch is relatively old. So I had a brand new clutch setup that was from the last kit I built, so I just decided to I was gonna have to replace it anyways. You know, it's a big race coming up, so I wanted to put all new stuff on there. So first off, in the kit, it comes with these silver clutch shoes, these silver aluminum clutch shoes. I actually talked to Billy about this. I typically run the orange Agama clutch shoes. Apparently these are the exact same thing, just a different color. So I'm running these silver ones. The other thing that's really good about the Agama clutches is these bearings. These bearings are made in Japan. They're called Japanese steel bearings. I'm not joking, they last forever. Like, my clutch bearings is the last thing I worry about. I think at one point I ran 5 races with the exact same clutch bearings. So I'm about to start. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks too that will help you out to make your clutch a little bit more dependable. So first and foremost, you put your collet on, which your collet is this little brass cone looking thing. So when you put your collet on, you want to try to pull sometimes there's play in the crankshaft. Mine doesn't have a lot of play, the engine's fairly new. You want to put the collet all the way back, so you want to pull the crankshaft as far forward as you can. And then put the collet all the way back. If you can't get it to move, you just get a little flathead screwdriver. And you can actually separate the collet just a little bit where you can move it. So, jeez, it's brand new. There we go. So I had to split it open a little bit, it was a little tight. So put the collet all the way on the back of the crankshaft. So I pull the crankshaft out and push it all the way back on. So my collet's on there now, there's no play, everything looks good. And then before I put my flywheel on, I put just a little drop of thread locker. The reason why I like to put it on now is it's a little bit easier to get to. You don't have to worry about the flywheel posts getting in the way. Also, shake your thread locker before you put it on. It's good practice. So don't put too much, just put a little bitty drop on there. Sometimes you put too much, you can't get the flywheel nut off, which you'll then have a whole nother world of problems. So, which by the way, that is something that's easy to solve. I'll probably do that in a later video. The flywheel nut, So you put your collet on, then you put your flywheel over your collet, and then your flywheel nut. And then you screw it in by hand for now to make sure that you don't cross thread. So now I'm going to grab one of these. I believe this is the size. Yep, that's the size. Now this is the part where it hurts, especially if you have a brand new clutch, brand new flywheel, you don't want to scratch your flywheel. They actually sell big wrenches like this that have plastic here. I don't know who it's made by. I've actually seen it at a shop. I contemplated buying it, but honestly, I don't care if my flywheel gets scratched. It gets, hits the bump box pretty hard. You're gonna hit rocks, things like that. So I don't really care, but you want to grip the flywheel really tight and then tighten this up. You want to tighten it up. It's pretty much as tight as you can get it. So that's really tight on there. I'm going to hit it one more time. So long your wrench doesn't slip, you don't really screw up the flywheel too bad. Alright, so that's on there really good. So I did see there's a little bit of scratching there. That doesn't really bother me. I don't really care. Alright, so then you put your clutch shoes on. The good thing about Agama clutch shoes is it's very clear which direction you put them on. There's a little groove here on the inside of the shoe. You put your left hand in, you pull your left hand out. Put your spring in there. And then you slide it onto the post. Don't slide it all the way on yet. You just want the spring to be in. There you go. So now I have the spring. There you go, okay. So I got the spring on there and basically it stops. So the spring isn't on the right side of the flywheel nut. And I'm gonna show you why I do it that way. Let me get my flywheel too. There's actually a couple of different flywheel tools. There's a couple of different flywheel tools that you can use. I personally like the basic flywheel tool, but they also have these flywheel tools. Ryan Lutz RC makes these. I won't say they don't work. I haven't had a lot of luck with them. I really just use this one. It's a lot easier. So what I do is I put the spring on there with the clutch shoe, and then I push the clutch shoe, the spring, up on the flywheel nut. So now it's on the flywheel nut, and then after it's actually on the flywheel nut, it's not all the way on. It's just up over the flywheel nut. At that point, you can just push it on. And then I pushed it all the way back, and then you can just get a little flathead screwdriver and click it into the groove. So now this is what your flywheel wants to look like, or you want your flywheel to look like. You got your shoe, your clutch shoe, and then your spring already on there. So let me put the rest of these springs on. Alright, so I got my clutch shoes on there. That wasn't too hard. Kind of work it with this tool to push the spring up on the flywheel nut and then push it on. If you can't get it all the way in the groove, just use a flathead screwdriver. So I got this already in there. So I already know, I've been running Agama for a while, I already know I'm kind of in the ballpark of where I need to shim this. So I like to put one of these small shims. So the kit comes with 3 of these small shims. And these are the little shims, I mean they're tiny. I like to put one small shim on the flywheel, or on the flywheel nut. And then you put your bearings. I'm going to put a bearing on there. And then alright, so then you put your bearings in your clutch bell and slide it on. Alright, so this is here are a couple of tricks. My favorite shim to use on the outside, there's actually a significant, I say significant gap, but it's about a 2 millimeter gap there. Instead of stacking these shims up, I use this. Let's see. So Traxxas makes these little Teflon PTFE coated washers. These are like perfect. So I always have these on hand. I already have a pack open. So then I get the washer. Alright, so here's the washer. So you put the washer on there. There's still a little bit of play there, so maybe you can add one more little shim. you want a little bit of play. So here's where people mess up, is how they shim it. So first off, it comes with a lot of the kits that you get will come with a 3mm screw, where you use a 2mm driver to actually put in the hex screw to hold the clutch bell on. Don't use those 3mm screws, the ones that use the 2.0 drivers. Get a 4mm screw, which uses a 2.5 driver, and then I like to get these really cool like countersunk washers. Basically, the screw is this screw. It's a I guess that's a button head, and then I have a countersunk washer. So what you're probably asking yourself, well, is he going to put Loctite on? Yeah, I'm going to put Loctite on, but the key is you want to make sure that we're shimmed correctly before you start caking the Loctite on. So screw it all the way in. So that's all the way in. To me, that might be a little too much play, so I'm going to add one more shim there. And see where we go from there. So you just keep shimming until there's just a little bit of play. Alright, so I got it shimmed right. I hope you can see it on the camera, but there's just a little bit of play there. It's not super tight. It does feel a little loose. Maybe there's a 1/2 millimeter of play there, but you want that play so it doesn't just blow your bearings up, and you want it to spin free just like that. I haven't Loctited it yet, so I'm going to go back, pull this out. I already know how many shims I need. The amount of shims I use a shim on the back side of the bearings, and I use 2 of the small shims, and then one of those big tracks of shims on the front. So now I'm going to back the screw out, put some Loctite in there, and then tighten it really tight. Alright, so you want to make sure this is nice and firm. Again, with the 2 5mm, you don't have to worry about stripping this clutch bell screw off. So it's really tight there. I put Loctite on it. Test the shim. It's perfect shimmed. That's how you want it. So now let's pull the engine out of my car.